Greetings! In this video I'll be painting an Infernus Marine from the Crimson Fists chapter. This chapter was requested by one of you guys, twice. I didn't notice until I saw both requests at the same time, using the same profile picture. I searched for the original comment and yeah, it's the same dude. Anyway, for assembly I used one of the new Space Wolves bodies. I removed the torso marking, and then used some of the arms from the Infernus Marines kit. The Infernus Marines being push-fit makes it difficult to convert, but I think this one came out okay. The Crimson Fists use similar markings to the Imperial Fists, but surrounded by a ring. They received some attention in a transfer sheet recently, but the one I received from the combat patrol that I bought had misaligned red ink, making the decals look really wonky. So I used my usual method instead, recreating the design and embossing them on a 3D printed pauldron. Some information about that's in the video description. After assembly, I primed the model black through my airbrush, though you can of course use any priming method you prefer. Now for the painting itself. The Crimson Fists use a deep blue colour for their armour, which is noticeably darker than the blue from other chapters like the Ultramarines, though some chapters like the Dark Hunters have a similar blue. A couple of thin coats of Kantor blue was the obvious choice for this one, as the colour is named literally after their chapter master, and naturally it's a perfect colour match. Next, I used Abaddon black to paint in all the black bits, like the undersuit, the cabling around the rear and the underarm section, and the weapon casing. I also filled in the backgrounds of the armorials on both sides with black. References sometimes disagree with this, showing blue inside instead of black, but most modern examples show black, especially when the section is actually dedicated to the Crimson Fists, instead of being thrown in a big list, which can often simplify the reference. Onto the leather now, starting with a base coat of Rhinox hide. Fairly simple here, just blocking in the knife scabbard, the pouch underneath, and the belt. To highlight, I use Skrag brown, applying it as an edge highlight whilst also doing some scratches and dots to show some simplified damage effects. Deathclaw brown was used to finish the highlighting, applied in smaller spots and scratches when compared to the previous pass, attempting to emphasise some of the previous bits of damage. Now onto the crimson part, starting with the fist. I used Khorne red for this, using a nice and dark red to match the dark blue. I also painted in the armorials with this, both the fire support tactical marking and the chapter insignia. I switched over to Mephiston red to start highlighting the red bits, doing both the usual edge highlight but also doing some stippling to get some nice chipping effects going. At this point I also base coated the wrist lights and the helmet lenses. I briefly went back to Khorne red to paint in the wristband bit that I missed. Then I went back to Mephiston red again, to continue highlighting. The markings on the pauldrons received some highlighting too, focusing around the top in some stippling motions, to form a gradient without having to do a smooth gradient. Next, I switched to Evil Sunz Scarlet to highlight the lenses, both on the wrist and on the eyes. I focused towards the upwards facing surface for the wrist, and avoid the edges of the eyes for this pass. Wild Rider Red was next, applied in a smaller spot for the wrist and likewise a smaller spot for the eyes, closer towards the middle of the face. Finally, I used Lugganath Orange in a small dot on the wrist, and then a small area on the eye lenses. Highlighting the weapon casing for the Pie-Blaster was next, using Eshin Grey. I did a normal edge highlight, as well as applying some scratches and, towards the end, some dry brushing. I should really stop using my nice brushes for this, but the paint dries so quickly on my brush it's hard to resist. Next was highlighting the blue armour. I chose the Alaitoc blue for this, applying similar highlighting to that of other sections, Some nice chipping and scratching effects were applied, in preparation for deeper battle damage later. In hindsight, I'm not sure Alaitoc blue was the right colour for this. It turns the blue slightly towards a teal. It's very subtle, but perhaps Altdorf Guard blue would have done better, as that blue has a bit of red in its mixture, similar to Skrag blue. Either way, this has the right effect of defining the edges, and the battle damage should help further bring the armour into a more believable finish by the end. As is tradition, I missed a cable, so I used Mephiston red to quickly paint this in, before switching back to Rhinox hide, this time to do a weathering pass. I used the larger areas of Alaitoc blue highlights as a basis for where the chips should go, placing larger spots of brown in the most hastily applied sections of blue. I also made sure to paint in where the physical chips were, like on the 3D printed pauldron which had some chips broken away when I was roughly sanding the support connection points. Now finally onto metallics. I used Iron Warriors and painted in the weapon chassis and muzzle, as well as around the armour and power pack details. I had removed the chest ornament this time around, but if this one had one, I'd paint that in this colour as well. Next, to highlight the metal, I used Runefang steel. This is mostly applied on the upwards facing surfaces and edges, as well as any rivets around the model. Next I wanted to do some heat haze on the Pyre Blaster muzzle, so I got out my usual two-tone method with Druchii Violet heavily applied over the tip. Then following that with Seraphim Sepia for the middle, letting the still wet Druchii Violet mix in with the Seraphim Sepia along the transition to help form a gradient between the two tones. After waiting for the shade paints on the Pyre Blaster to dry, I moved on to the enamel pen wash. I used AK Sepia Paneliner for this, heavily applying it over most of the model. I wanted this guy to be fairly dirty, despite the already dark armour, so I was okay with going a bit heavier with the enamel compared to how I usually apply it. I think this was a good decision as the sepia, when dry, is actually a tiny bit lighter than the blue, so I think it works well to increase the brightness a little bit whilst still acting like a believable weathering pass, and defining the edges nicely. After I was happy with the enamel, I left the model to dry for a few hours, before applying my usual basing method, painting the base rim black, and then sealing everything in with an ultramatte varnish. And here we have it, an Infernus Marine from the Crimson Fists chapter. I think this one came out pretty good. He's very blue, but, well, they're meant to be. I do think some additional markings or a campaign badge would have gone a long way to help this model feel, well, I'm not sure what the word is. Bland is the wrong word, but I feel like it's not a finished scheme, if that makes sense. Maybe I should have added some purity seals. I'm so used to models coming with purity seals already that I forget to add them myself. As for the paint job, I think I did fairly good. This one only took me a few hours to do. I think it was only 2 hours in total if you remove the drying times and the times I was distracted. The real time here comes from the basing, as applying the basing mix before the enamel has fully dried can cause your basing mix to stick to the enamel. It's not a massive problem, as you can use a clean brush to clean it off, but you risk removing some enamel when you do that, so it's best to leave it a few hours to make it easier. And then a few hours after that for the PVA glue to dry, as it's not transparent until it's fully dry. I've had a few occasions where I've been impatient and varnished the model before the PVA glue was fully set, and you could see little white dots where the glue was still visible. Whilst I didn't have those issues with this model, it's something I thought I might mention as it might help you guys. And I hope you guys aren't dissuaded about the enamel usage. It's incredibly flexible and it dries so much quicker than oil, which is the main reason I just don't use oils. But anyway, that's enough of me babbling. I hope you enjoyed the video and I hope you stick around for the next one.